up for Minister Alex Simon! Oh my God! Oh my God! So I just, no, you are not leaving yet.
Oh, okay.
So I just met this man in the green room, and what an incredible man this is. So he is someone, I'm going to tell your story. I'm more interested in you than I am in me. I'm going to tell your story because this is a man who went to an audition, and there were 1,800 people there for how many spots? Eight spots, 1,800 people. And it did not dampen his optimism. How did you do that?
I did it by staying away from distractions. I did it by waking up, staying hungry every morning. Even when we have things as humans, we think we're floating. If you wake up hungry every single day, wake up humble every single day, think about yourself less, the door's open. God will start to bless you more and more and more and more. I just stay hungry, I stay humble, and I still wake up to this day like that. I'm on some of the biggest stages in the world, emceeing shows and stuff, but I still wake up like I have nothing. I still wake up like I'm broke. I still wake up to worry about my electric bill, gas in my car, which I have nothing to worry about, but I wake up like that. That's why the blessings keep coming and coming. So anybody listen to this, stay away from distractions, stay humble, and wake up hungry every day.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's my time, people. This has been great. Thank you so much. I love it. I love it. So my name is Coach Dan Gordon, and before I begin, I want you guys, all of you, to acknowledge yourself for being here, because there's a lot of things you could be doing. We're in Los Angeles, California, right? There are a lot of things you could be doing today. You could be at the beach. You could be hanging out. You could be eating cheeseburgers. You could be walking down Hollywood Boulevard. But instead, you decided to challenge yourself and your beliefs and come here. So I want you to turn to the person next to you and say, congratulations. Beautiful. I want you to turn to the other person and say, thank you for being here. Beautiful. Now I want you to turn to me and say, Coach Dan, don't waste my time. Coach Dan, don't waste my time. You got it. Good. Because I want that. I want that challenge. Because I am here to respect your time and your decision to be here. So I want to talk about the impossible. Would that be okay if we talked about the impossible today? Yes. Great. Because so many people live in what they believe is possible, right? They do the average things, they live the average life, they have the average thoughts. And when you push them into, hey, what about this? They're like, oh, I can never do that. That's not me, that's not me, I know who I am. Doing the impossible is not me, I'm gonna stay safe. But that's not you. You're here to play a bigger game. So today, I thought it'd be fun if instead of just talking about stuff, if we worked on making the impossible possible. Does that sound like a good day? Yes. Does that sound like something that you want to do? Yes. Awesome, because that's what I'm here for. So this is usually the part of the show where I talk about myself, I tell you about all of my accomplishments, all the things I've done, the books I've written, the awards I've gotten. But instead of doing that, how about if we do this? How about if we play a game? Does playing a game sound like more fun than listening to me talk about myself? It sounds more fun to me. I've talked about myself way too much in my life. So the game that we're going to play is the game of infinite possibilities. The game of infinite possibilities. Now, when we think about this, it seems like it might be pretty easy, right? Okay, we're going to invest ourselves in thinking about infinite possibilities. But to play this game accurately, you have to follow one rule. And that rule is the idea that anything is possible. Are you willing to accept that anything is possible? Yes. Are you willing to accept that anything is possible? Yes. Awesome. Now that's a tall order. Because when I ask people to consider that anything is possible, and they go, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then I say, well, hey, why don't you try this? You go, wait a second, I can't do that, right? But remember, It's not real. We're just playing a what? We're playing a game, right? So don't worry. Like when you play Monopoly, right? And you land on Park Place and there's a big hotel there. You don't think, oh no, I'm going to be homeless. Why? Because you're playing a what? You're playing a game, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to play a game of infinite possibilities, and all you have to do is remember that anything is possible. So this is going to be a different kind of game than you've ever played. Now, when you think about games, like when you think about like basketball or tennis, you play those games on a what? A court, right, exactly. When you think about games like football or baseball, you play those games on a what? A field, right. And when you play Monopoly or backgammon, where do you play those games? On a board, right. But this game, we're going to play with an idea. It's going to be a game where we play with an idea. Now, before we get into the game, I think it makes sense to practice first, to do a practice round. Does that sound good? Yes. I'm so glad because I didn't have a backup plan on that. So good. So we're going to do a practice round of the game of infinite possibilities. And so we're going to learn how to play the game, and then we're going to play for real when it counts, okay? So to begin this, I'm going to tell you about how I played the game and how it worked for me. And I'm going to talk about an idea that happened quite a while ago. See, one of the things that I struggle with is I'm a compulsive overeater. Over the course of my life, I have lost and gained well over 500 pounds. That's me. I'm on the left. So, because of this, I struggled with obesity throughout my life. We all have one thing, that's mine. Now, in one of these times where I had gotten really heavy, I was in Target. I was in the dressing room, and I was trying on a pair of pants. And I couldn't quite get the pants to close. So I said out loud, oh, these pants are what? These pants are too tight, small. Right, exactly. These pants are too tight. And when I said that, something happened in my mind. I realized, wait a second. Am I blaming the Levi Strauss company for making a pair of pants in a defective way? No, those pants aren't too tight. Those pants are perfect, just not for me. The problem wasn't that the pants were too tight. The problem was I was too big. But I was blaming the pants so I didn't have to go on a deeper dive. Right? It's a way that I avoided feeling bad about myself. So I realized in that moment that I had a new opportunity. Now that I was no longer blaming the pants, I could look at what was really happening. And I had a choice. I could either feel shameful about the fact that I had gotten so big, or I could look at what was really happening. And what I realized in that moment, standing there, in my underwear, in the dressing room of Target, is that for years I had been using food to fill in my self-esteem where my self-esteem was lacking. I said this out loud. I'm using food to fill my self-esteem. Maybe I won't need the food if I start loving myself. And so that's exactly what I did. And every time that I put on a pair of pants or a shirt that felt tight, instead of going, oh, I'm so heavy, I said, no, I'm using food to fill my self-esteem. I must not be at a place of self-love yet because I'm still using food. Now, I said this for about 2 months, and then I decided to go on a health program. And 6 months later, I had lost 65 pounds in a blink of the eye. And it was so easy because I wasn't thinking about the food anymore. I was thinking about filling myself up with self-care. Does that make sense? Absolutely. Okay, so are you ready to play the game for real with a different idea? I'm not getting a lot of enthusiasm. Are you ready to play the game real? Outstanding. Outstanding. So did someone say no? I love it. I love voices of opposition. Here's why I love voices of opposition. Because someone who has a strong no, I can take that strong no and make it into a strong what? Yes, right. The thing I can't help is someone who has that low energy. That's not your problem. You guys are way up here. I'm loving this. I love you guys. So here's the idea that we're going to play with. I can't afford it. Who here has said, I can't afford it? I've said I can't afford it a million times. We've all said, I can't afford it. Like, it makes perfect sense. And it doesn't seem like an idea, does it? It's a simple statement of fact. Like when I couldn't close the pants are too tight didn't seem like an idea. It was just a statement of fact. The pants are too tight until I did a deeper dive. So, if you don't have money to buy something that seems like I can't afford it is real. But let's go on that deeper dive. And remember, you agreed to some rules here, right? Right? What was the rule? Anything is possible. Okay. And remember, we're just playing a what? Right. It's not real. Right? So I want you to take the doubt and move it to the back of your mind. Because it'd be pretty easy to say, well, this isn't going to make a change. I mean, if I change my thinking around I can't afford it, $100 million isn't going to end up in my bank account, and that's true. But when I changed my thinking, I didn't instantly lose weight, but I found a new avenue to appreciate myself, my body, and my health. Does that make sense? Are you with me? Yes. Okay. Are you ready for the reframe of I can't afford it? Yes. Outstanding. Unfortunately, that's all my time. I've got to... So the reframe is, I want you to really think about this. I haven't learned how to get people so enthusiastic about my value that they are excited to pay me. I haven't learned how to get people so enthusiastic about my value that they're excited to pay me. But I'm working on it. I want you to really think about this statement. Because just like the pants are too tight, this immediately puts the responsibility where? Right on you, right? And is it mean? Is it harsh? No, it's very kind. I haven't learned yet how to do this thing, but I'm working on it. Right? So when someone says, hey, you want to go on a 2-week vacation to Europe with me? Right? Instead of I can't afford it, it's, yeah, I would love to. The problem is I haven't learned how to get people so enthusiastic about my value that they're excited to pay me. Right? That big house in Brentwood I want to buy. Well, unfortunately, I haven't learned how to get people so enthusiastic about my value that they're excited to pay me. You know, I'm going to get that Tesla Model X just as soon as I learn how to get people so enthusiastic about my value that they're excited to pay me. So, here we have an opportunity. Right? That's God calling. He's telling me I'm doing a great job. Can you see how this kind of puts you in the driver's seat of life? Right? Suddenly, things aren't just happening to you. You're now at choice. Because when you're at choice, then you have an opportunity to change your reality. And that's the entire purpose of this game. It is changing what you believe is possible into the future that you want to live into. Would you like to know what my reframe is? Like what I say when I feel like I don't have enough money. Want to know what that is? I say, I have all the money I need. It's just in other people's pockets. All I have to do is be so valuable that they're excited to take the money out of their pocket and hire me. Now, I have said this over and over again, and I'm working on it. I am always working on it. I am always working on being more valuable to more people. And when I am, that value shows up in my heart, in my life, and in my bank account. And that bank account allows me to reach more people. Now, I know that living inside of you is some fear and scarcity. Like, we can't avoid it. It's genetic. And that fear and scarcity will whisper things in your ear. Because when you're ready to take action, the fear and scarcity will say, don't. It's too dangerous. Not this time. Do it next time. It will lie to you. Now see, I had that same experience the first time I went skydiving. I was all about skydiving. I was ready to go. I loved it. I was very excited. I was going to challenge myself. I was ready to jump out of the plane until my skydiving instructor rolled open the door. And I look out, and I'm 10,000 feet off the deck. And everything inside of me said, stay in the plane. Do not jump. And any normal, logical person would say, do not jump out of a perfectly good airplane. You might what? You might die. But then I realized something. If I landed with the plane, if I gave into my fears or my story, hey, I'm not a skydiver, nobody would have blamed me. Nobody would have shamed me about it. I'm terrified of heights. But what would have happened, that night in bed, I would have been lying there going, damn, I missed that opportunity. I missed that opportunity. And see, that's the game of infinite possibilities. It is creating opportunities for yourself, for your family, for the people that you love, and for your legacy. What's going to remain after you leave this plane? So let me share with you a story of pushing through, not giving in, and thinking differently. So in 2001, Apple Computer, they were on the brink of bankruptcy. They were almost out of business. Now, what most people would do is they would make a bunch of cheap computers, right? They'd have sales, they'd give out coupons, anything to just get some money in the door and stay afloat. But that's not what they did. Instead, they took a huge risk. They created a new product, and it was called the iPod. Now, this iPod, no one had ever seen anything like this before. They said, we're going to put 1,000 songs in your pocket. Now, today, anything less than 10,000 songs, like I don't even want to think about, right? But 1,000 songs in your pocket. No one had ever seen that. And so instead of selling crappy computers and doing sales, they created a product that excited people. And people took the money out of their pockets and gave it to Apple, about $600 in today's economy. And it saved the company. And then they went on to create the iMac and the iPhone and all of these other products. And Apple went from almost going out of business to being, at one time, the most successful company in the history of this planet. See, that's playing the game of infinite possibilities. And that's the game that you and I and all of us can play every day. Right? Their alarms go off when you play that game. But the thing about the game is that there's always going to be internal pushback. And it is staying conscious and aware of the fears and concerns and the upset that you create in your body that take you out of the game and take you back to safety. So, would it be okay if I offered you something to help you stay in the game? Would that be okay? Yeah. Awesome. Now, I'm not going to ask you to buy anything. I want to give it to you for free. And all you have to do is text the word MORE, as in, I want more, Coach Dan, to 213-409-8366. Text MORE, M-O-R-E, to 213-409-8366, or just hit this big, beautiful QR code that's behind me. Look, there's a certain amount of surrender that you have to allow yourself to live in order to play the game for life. Amen. And the surrender is the idea that every experience is simply an experience. There are no outcomes. So I'm going to share with you something that I didn't intend to. I finished this presentation at 10 p.m. last night. I finished writing it and doing these slides. At 5 a.m. I got up and practiced it. I had a 2-hour drive to get here, and I practiced it all the way here. Now, all the way here, I'm thinking, you know, if I just did this on Zoom, then I could read the script, and I know I could do it perfectly. Like, that was fear pushing back at me. And I said no, because what I wanted was an experience. And I know, as a speaker, sooner or later, I'm going to have an epic fail. And I thought, cool, today might be the day. This is awesome. And unfortunately, it wasn't. It worked out really well. I'm sorry. You didn't get to see it. I didn't get to experience it. But that's what life is. It's a series of experiences. There are no outcomes. There's just the next thing. That is playing the game. My name is Coach Dan Gordon. My company is Dan Gordon Enterprise, LLC. It has been an honor to speak with you today. Thank you so much. Do we have time for questions, if there are any?
Yes, questions.
Anybody have any thoughts, questions, comments?
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. I will say this, like the question I always get when I share this, right? Because my mission in life is to free people of their self-imposed limitations as I have freed me from mine. The question I usually get is, what do I do when I'm at that moment, like you were, like about to jump out of the airplane? Like, how do you push yourself through it? And what I can tell you is it takes mental discipline. That's it. You will never feel ready to do the thing that you want to do. There will never be a feeling that goes, okay, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to jump out of the airplane. It takes the mental discipline of saying, this thing I want to do, it doesn't matter what happens. What matters is that I do it. And while courage defines all of humanity, faking courage is just as good, because that's the action that you take. Any questions? Any thoughts? Cool.
Any takeaways?
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
There was an example you shared about, incredible presentation by the way, about Apple's comeback
Yes.
with the iPod. And you talked about taking risk and going big. I would like sort of some examples, because I know you do like sales coaching, right? Like, what are some like relevant examples? That's like a big company and a big thing. Like, what's
Right.
a relevant small example?
Great question. Yeah, thanks. Right? Yeah. What is, Mira the Hero said, what is a relevant example of the Apple, right? Because the Apple example is interesting, it's inspiring, but we're probably all not running a big tech company here, right? Okay, so how does this translate into us? And so, perfect. When they created the iPod, nobody wanted it. Nobody was saying, I want this. What they did is they looked at the world and they said, I want to create something that I believe people will find valuable. Now, all of you have a unique talent, ability, and skill that if other people knew it, they would be free of their limitations. That's your product. That's your iPod. Now, the thing that you need to understand about this is that thing inside of you, like, it's nothing to you. You live it every day. You know, Superman can bend steel bars all day long, right? It doesn't occur to him that it's something important until he hands it to someone else. And they go, I can't do that. He goes, oh yeah, I'm Superman. So what you want to do is think about the things that your friends, your fellow business owners go, wow, that's a really cool thing that you can do. That's your iPod. That's your product. It doesn't have to be hard. Right? Apple had a very clear vision about that product. And they were able to make it because they knew that they had all of the resources available to make it. It was all current tech. They just put it together in a way that was valuable. Your current tech is what you know and you're excellent at and you can sell to other people. Did that answer your question?
100%, you killed it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks, this has been outstanding. Thank you for your attention. Be well.
Man, my brother, everybody clap for Jay one more time.